Anthony with the Cowboy Poets of Idaho, and as I came down off from the stage, a little blue-haired lady sitting right by the aisle grabbed me by the arm, and she said, "Oh, my sister would just love to have heard," and I had just done that poem, and as a matter of fact, my sister would have just loved to hear that. She said, "She's a poet laureate from back east." I said, "Oh, that's very nice. I appreciate it and everything." And then I walked up the aisle about 2 steps and said, "What the hell's a poet laureate?" Anyway, this one was born much the same as the other one. About 3 o'clock in the morning, and it had to be born too. So I call it the Poat Showdown. I met a gal the other day, way back east it seems. She's a poet laureate with grand poetic dreams. Seems she'd run across a cowboy poem in a book that we had read, or she had read, and headed west to resurrect our language clearly dead. "I'm looking for a cowboy poet," she said. "I have a mission here. They're misusing all the English words I hold so very dear. I'm here to teach them to pronounce each word and clearly say each line, and then the cowboy poems, they say, will sound so very fine. I simply must convince them that I am surely right, although I'm not expecting that they'll be very bright." "Well, Miss Shirley Wright, I'm convinced, and this must be your luckiest of times, because I'm a cowboy poet, what's writ some cowboy rhymes." Well, she looks me up and down, and fright is on her face, and I see she must be wishing she'd never left her place. Because I'm standing there in green-stained boots and my ragged Levi's, too, in a shirt that's got some brown spots, but is mostly nearly blue. Well, she hemmed and dabbed her sweat in the most politest way, girds her loins with courage, and commences in to say, "That shirt is quite distinctive. Have the spots been caused by rains?" "Nah," says she, "stinks a bit, but them just her backer stains." Then a hocked gob of juice past her leg at a bug. "Impressed? You bet," said she. "You are a cad, an oaf, a slug." "Nah," says, "a cad's for city folks. They drive 'em around at night, and oaf we say when we fall down, and slug is when we fight." I didn't want to be real rude, but that lady ain't too smart. She wanted to talk some more. I guess I'd do my part. And she breathed real deep and said, "I really must be heard. Tell me this, kind sir, can you say the simplest word? I say poet, you say poat. Is that 2 O's, an A, or you?" "Ma'am," I said, "I'm a cowboy. Only a sheep man would do a you." "Then try this," she glared. "Say poem and try your best." Well, I seen where she was headed. That gal devised a tale. So casually I lift my hat and I scratch my head for time. This eastern gal wants me to use poem and cowboy rhyme. Poem, she hooked her bustle on the outhouse latch one night. It caught while she was leaving, and though she put up quite a fight, they say the bustle ripped and tore from her bum and thighs. Round here 'twas the only time 3 half moons was in the skies. Well, now the beauty of that there poem got her, I could tell, and I must admit my wordly prowess caused my chest to swell. "I'll never teach you diction," she said, "about a sentence or a clause. You'll never learn syllables." And here she had to pause. Still overcome by my poem, I guess, but I said, "Just hold on now, because my pawn old Dick Shun was sentenced when they rustled them cows. And claws, we stay plumb fur from him. Old Grizz gets plenty mad. Chased me up a tree last week and clawed my buns up bad. And ma'am, we've had some silly bulls out here, but we don't keep them round. They try to mount the steers, we just sell them by the pound." Now she's breathing awful hard, they're coming way too quick. Her color's bad, she groans out loud and falls down like a brick. Well, after that they doused her, and they must have used the kitchen sink. That's when she changed her mind for good, at least that's when I think. Because she said she was headed home, and there's real color in her cheeks. I promised that I'd visit her, but I could only stay 3 weeks. Well, she screamed out loud. The crowd stepped back. 'Twas an awful sight to see. "Don't ever come east, you cretin!" she screamed. "Your pulchritude revolts me." Well, I really thought that we had covered my Cretan poems and such, except by now that she's too upset for this cowboy poet's touch. I could have created her another one, of that there's hardly any doubt. And though the first one taxed me mightily, my brain's not quite wore out. What I can't figure as I'm standing there looking across the squares, how'd she know my poker tooth was the one that wasn't there? I lost it in a poker game because I cheated quite a bunch, but I never figured Parson Brown the kind for a sucker punch. Well, she finally caught her train for home, and she's real happy, I could tell. She never changed this cowboy much, and I guess that's just as well. Because though I liked her well enough, and it was pleasant spending time, I like being a cowboy poet, what's rich and cowboy rhyme. Now back east, she's a poet laureate, but out here, her armor showed some chinks, because when we had our poet showdown, she's the one what blinked.